born in Queensland. What I love about the sound of the harp is that there is a unique resonance. It is somewhat like a guitar, but the resonance continues unimpeded because it's got these long strings with nothing in it. And the first harp may have been something as simple as an empty turtle shell with the sinews dried across the top. But someone may have come along and plucked. So we have the human voice, then we have some kind of crude flute, and then no doubt we would have had the first stringed instrument, which would have been a type of harp. And all the great cultures of old had their own form of harp. Sumer, the Indus Valley, Egypt, as we see of course from the Egyptian art. How often do you see someone playing a harp, crouching down? Very often. In Greece, of course, they had the lyre. And did you know that at one time in ancient Greece, the harp was banned for its lascivious nature? It was considered to be an incentive toward bad behavior. I don't believe it, do you?
That it could have caused bad behaviour?
Yes! Especially when you consider that the harp was the instrument of angels in both Islam, Judaic, Christian traditions.
A friend of mine, who I told I was coming up today, said, "Ask Mary where her wings are."
I had those removed long ago.
It's peaceful at the moment. Just play something off the top of your head which is busy. There goes the birds.
They're pretty good. angry, but more aggressive.
I like that.
Good.
And I can see it already drop over somewhere in Luxor.
Can you see the fruit being dropped on the pavements?
I've got it.
This would be suitable for a romantic shot of one of the pyramids or temples at dawn or dusk. This would be suitable for a busy market scene. This music would be suitable for a felucca gliding across the Nile in a very peaceful fashion.
get to some rapids. While you're playing, tell me a little bit about your interest in the afterlife of pharaonic thinking.
The pharaonic, well, of course the pharaohs were the ones that got to die, buried and be buried, embalmed and buried in the pyramids. They were the lucky ones, the ones that were considered to have this wonderful afterlife, to take all their slaves and minions with them. But there is always a secret meaning, a deeper meaning, underneath the obvious. And the idea is that there is a part that lives on forever, that can never die. Although the flesh would rot underneath the bandages sooner or later. I see it as a metaphor for eternal life and the attempt to secure their place in that eternity. So they talk about the bar and the car and the different parts of a human being. The Shem being the vessel. And of course, when one crosses over into the afterlife, it's Ma'at who does the measuring. And Anubis is the god who escorts the soul across, and the heart is weighed against a feather, which you see in many of the pictures that have been painted by Egyptian artists. So the heart needs to weigh lighter than a feather in order to experience this wonderful afterlife. And that's a beautiful metaphor in a way for keeping your heart light, keeping the heaviness, the sadness, the anger, the blame, the jealousy out of the heart. To keep one's heart as light as a feather. Not always so easy.
Amongst this group of friends of yours who are going to go to Egypt, what is their interest in pharaonic history?
Well, they're interested in the gods and the goddesses, and the stories and myths, and the relationships those gods and goddesses had to each other. For example, you know the story of Osiris, don't you? He was the sister of Isis. He was the brother of Isis. Isis was his sister. And when he was murdered, and pieces of his body were cast all over the world, it was Isis who went and found them back together again. But the only part that couldn't be found was the phallus. And so a golden phallus had to be fashioned for the newly born Osiris.
Sorry to interrupt here, but what is a phallus?
A penis.
I thought you meant that, but I thought you can't mean that.
I do.
Oh, I see, you do.
Phallus. It's a very old word for penis.
Yes, yes, yes.
If we can talk about that on film. So his manhood needed to be recreated, which is interesting, isn't it? Some would say that we live in a time when the Western male needs to recreate himself. If you look at the post-feminist Australia, Britain, America, the Western culture. What is the modern man now? Is he the strong, strapping, silent type? Is that outmoded? Perhaps he needs a new golden phallus. I don't know that we should put this in, but anyway.
Like this bit?
Music for the temple at Karnak. Desert Sea.
Desert Sea. When you and your friends go to Egypt, apart from Cairo, you wanted to go to the Western Desert, the White Desert.
Camp in the White Desert.
Yes.
We were going to camp in the Black Desert.
Where's that?
I don't know, but it's not the White Desert. And we were going to go to Karnak, Luxor, Saqqara, the Great Pyramid, the Sphinx, of course.
Yeah.
And there's a fabulous statue of Sekhmet who's the goddess of war. She's got the lion's head in one of the temples there. That she comes to life, actually. Everybody says they get spooked. The light comes through a little slit in the stonework, and lights her up in such a way that people believe she's come to life.
So tell me just a bit more about these friends of yours who are going. They're very seriously into this afterlife.
The Egyptology, the study of the afterlife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have any of them been to Egypt before?
Oh yes, some of them have been many times.
Oh,
yes.
So
they know much more about it than me.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I'll get bitten until I go. I think that's when I will understand.
Like me.
You didn't really get it until you went there, is that right?
Oh yeah, once I've been there, once I had to go twice, 3, 4, 5.
And what was it that gripped you?
Because it's so ancient compared with Roman history or Greek. You know, it's the land of the pharaohs. It's totally different. I've just been reading a book on Tutankhamun, and I didn't know in the bibliography of the whole of ancient Egypt history there'd been 22 dynasties.
Before him?
And did you know that Queen Cleopatra was the last reigning monarch in the pharaonic times?
Yeah, I think I did, yes.
Yeah. Play a little bit of something which you could... There's a wonderful new Islamic museum open in Cairo with fantastic glassware and pottery everywhere. And I've got an hour of film of all that museum. Lovely, beautiful, thank you. Now I'm just thinking of another area where music would enhance at no end. In a film of Zahi Hawass speaking, sitting next to the pyramids, he said, "This is the most beautiful place on earth, just to sit here." And you can see the 3 pyramids in the background, about half a mile behind him. I would like something which could be thought to be Egyptian-y musically over this big expanse of pyramids. Just the pyramids and him, no people, no buses, no other people.
Just the pyramids.
Yes.
if you choose maybe the most beautiful place on earth, I think this is it. That's the place that anyone can come and feel the magic and the mystery of the pyramids.
That was great. Now, the only thing I would like is something which is really bloody busy, noisy.
Busy, noisy.
Well, like the centre of bloody Cairo, where there's traffic and everything going on in Tahrir Square, and there's a revolution about to be coming.
Oh, revolution.
Demonstration. Demonstration.
What's the...
That was great. You must have been there. For my musical friend that I met on the train from Charles de Gaulle Airport to Bordeaux, the pianist Jean-Baptiste Muller.
Bonjour, ça va, Jean-Baptiste. We have made a little film today with my music to demonstrate what we may be able to do with the harp. We hope that you enjoy. Nice to meet you, Jean-Baptiste.